The following is a Learfield presentation of the Washington State Sports Network. This is the Cougar Football Hour on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
We're committed to being great here. I'm proud to represent Washington State. I know the people that wear that Cougs all across this country, they're proud to be a part of Washington State. Why not be here? Why not cheer on this team? Why not see this environment and make it something special? What an opportunity to show who we are as Cougs.
Tonight's show is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is a proud supporter of Cougar athletics. Together, there's nothing as powerful as the power of us. U.S. Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Tonight's show is also brought to you by Zappos, where the Palouse comes to play and eat. Now, live from Zappos, alongside Cougar head coach Jake Dickert, here's the voice of the Cougs, Chris King.
Good evening and welcome into Zappos. We are out on the patio again. Another gorgeous night here on the Palouse. It is the Cougar Football Hour. We've got Jake Dickert joining us. Devin Killaney going to stop by a little bit later on. Week 2. How are you doing, Coach? Week 1 in the books.
Where did that week go? I mean, Chris, it's been incredible. We're back out here at Zappos. It's another packed house. Beautiful night on the Palouse. I mean, it's just these weeks during the season just keep rolling through. But the bigger question is, how was your first week in the booth? Chris, with the voice of the Cougs, come on now.
You kept me busy in a good way.
Yes.
I got a lot of practice on that touchdown call.
It was one of those weeks where, you know, we got off to a little bit of a slow start, and then we had to respond to it. I think as a coach, that's always a good thing. You know, I think maybe it was a little nerves, maybe a little bit of hesitation at first, but, you know, John Mateer got rolling. The guys made a bunch of plays for him. We were flying around doing a bunch of great things, and it felt like every time I turned my head, there was a Cougar crossing the end zone. So there was a lot of positives there.
The team didn't spend a lot of time in the red zone. I mean, those touchdowns were on explosive plays.
It was one of those things, Chris, coming in where we knew we could run after the catch. And, you know, we emphasized it with Kyle, and I think Chris Hudson has that ability. Great to say, you know, Shaq do that when he caught it, Trey Shackelford, and then obviously Lechner late in the game. You know, so I think that just breeds some more confidence into our football team. We knew we designed this team to have a bunch of different playmakers surrounded by John, and then I think you got to see John play in his element. You know, I said it last week on the show. You know, first game, perceived lesser opponent, you know, don't run John. That's his game. We got to let John play the way he plays. I thought you saw the full arsenal, him avoiding rush, making third down plays, obviously the deep ball strike. And he admitted it. He's like, Coach, I was a little nervous. He's like, I was a little fired up that first third down ball. I just sailed that puppy right out of bounds. I was like, yes, you did. That's good. Let's get that out now. So he's ready for next week, but it was a really fast start by a football team.
You talk about what John Mateer can do. I think of that third down run that he had. I think of his touchdown run. That's a pretty good little sampling of what he can do with his legs, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, and his legs are like this big around. I mean, this guy like squats the house here. So when you get a free rusher to see him step up and avoid and be able to run and get that third down, you know, and then obviously the designed runs is always an option. And I think from a defensive lens, what do you want to stop now? You want to double Kyle? You want to come down an extra fitter on John? You want to take away the inside slots, the tight ends? So I think just his multiplicity at the quarterback position leads to be very diverse, you know, offensive attack, and very difficult to go out there and stop each and every week because you got to kind of pick your poison.
A big theme of what you're saying here is the diversity of weapons, and that kind of takes me to what Wayshawn Parker was able to do. Not a bad little debut for him in a Cougar
uniform. How about
uniform.
Wayshawn Parker, huh? Yeah, young freshman. I just think it's just impressive to go from Grant High School in a tradition-rich program out of there to the Bay and to come here on the Palouse. He was an early enrollee, which I think has really led to a lot of Wayshawn's success. And I just keep asking Wayshawn one thing. I said, what's the big message? And he'll repeat back to me, keep the main thing, right? So stay humble, stay hungry. I think he's a young kid of wild talent. I think you got to see that. But I think you got to see Javinsky make a big run. You got to see Dylan Payne, Leo kind of picking up where he left off. But the overall message is if you can run the ball, great things can happen, right? Because it takes everybody up, and the only way to do that is to be good at offensive line, right? So the big guys up front, I thought, had a really solid day, and they'll be challenged as we go forward.
We're excited to talk to Devin Killaney tonight to chat a little more about the offensive line coming up.
Dev, if you look up, like, in the dictionary, offensive line, you know, big, sweaty, like hard, tough dude. Like you're gonna see Devin Claney's picture in there because he just loves like offensive line play, and like his knuckles getting so big because they're all jammed up, and he's just a tough guy, and you need to have that type of mentality. And we put a lot on our center, right? He controls the protections, he controls the run schemes, so it's really good. He's got to be really mentally sharp for what we're doing, and he prepares a lot. And what I love about Dev, too, is he waited his time. So it's his time now to control that offensive line, and he's doing a great job.
And what I know about him, too, and we'll talk about it tonight, is he loves the Cougs. He loves being a Coug.
He does. He wears it on his sleeve. I kind of said this before, but, one of our coaches described Dev as a guy that, like, he would die on that field for the Cougs, right? And I just mean it's his passion. It comes out of his veins every day. Every time on a Tuesday, we call Tuesday practice Cougs Day, right? Because it's a tough one. And he could just hear his voice yelling it and screaming it and just being about everything that you want a blue-collar, tough kid to be about. And he's from our state and represents us really well.
Well, that is well said, and we're excited to chat with him a little later on. Just to kind of wrap up the way Sean Parker thought, a couple of times we were mentioning him in the same sentence as Max Borghi, and that's always a good sign, as he was the first Cougar true freshman with a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown in his debut since Max Borghi against Wyoming in 2018.
I'm trying to think who was on that defensive staff in Wyoming when Max torched us. Yes, it was me. Yes, I got to watch that from the box down there. I told the story after the game when someone told me that. You plan for Coach Leach. Here comes the air raid. They're going to air this thing out. And Coach Leach ran the ball the first 4 times. And I was like, what's going on here? And then there's little Max Borghi finding his way into the end zone. So Max is obviously a great player here, had a great career. And anytime you can kind of do some things that haven't been done in a while here, I think that's a really positive first step for Wayshawn.
Well, and this game will go down in the record books, 70 points, tied for the 6th most points in program history. And, to be fair, we look up, the ones above that. Number 1 was against Blair Business College in 1907, Puget Sound in 1909. So you're a pretty good company when we're starting to talk about those schools.
I would agree. Like I said, it's a good start. And, anytime you can get a 102-yard interception return, Steve Hall, what a play. Kind of one of those things when you talked to him, I was like, Steve, are you ready for that? He's like, Coach, they just threw me the ball. And I was surprised. And then I was like, well, he's like, then I just took off, right? And then it was like a convoy down the sideline. So a WSU record, 102-yard interception return. Really proud of that kid because he's a captain because of how hard he works. And we're going to need him to play great football this week and going forward.
And what an awesome moment for him. Memorable one with that record-setting pick 6 that he had. That's a great transition there. We've talked a lot about the offense, a little bit about the defense. What were your thoughts on the defensive performance from the team?
Well, I think there's a lot of good. We have a saying, Chris, hunt the good, because I think a lot of times you can focus on what we didn't do right. And the best part, when we watched the film, it was tons of correctable mistakes. We went in last week saying this is a tough scheme. The option, the unbalanced. They a couple times had 2 tailbacks on the same side doing a couple things, and I just thought we were a little hesitant. But I think we got that experience. We know who we can count on. We got some learns for guys and some game experience. Because after the football game, I told them in the locker room, I said, raise your hand if it's your first time playing for the Cougs. And it was over 50 guys, right? And it just a refresher and a reminder to those guys, we do have a young team. But the best part about week 2, nobody can raise their hand anymore. Everyone's been out there. Everyone's got the experience. And we just need to take that experience and keep growing and getting better as a football team. And the defense knows that. They practiced with their hair on fire this week. That's the response I expected, and they'll be ready to go for this game.
Any other individuals, any other names that we haven't mentioned that you want to make sure to highlight them for what they did on Saturday against Portland State?
Yeah, and I said that this week. I'm always really proud of an older guy that continues to get better. Christian Hilborn was one of those guys. In the past, we've just had to throw him out at tackle or throw him here, and every week he was changing, and that's pretty hard to do. But I thought he went out there and had one of his best football games he's had, and he's played in over 60 games in his career here. Defensively, I thought Cyrus Webster got off to a really good start, and I think Kapena Gushikin keeps playing to a really high and elite level. So there was a few guys out there that was really good, and then, at the end of the game, you get some young guy run. Frank Casano is going to be a tremendous linebacker here. And, just because of how it was working out, we had to actually play him at a different position, but you can just see his instincts, his football ability. And then at that linebacker, you just kind of want that that physicality I think he brings to the table.
Well, that was fun to see later in the game, those guys, either the young guys making their Coug debuts or other guys getting some action late there on Saturday. Well, much more to come here from Zappos on the Cougar Football Hour. Of course, we're talking about the Portland State victory from last week, but we got the Texas Tech preview to come as well. So a lot more with Coach Dickert. Devin Killaney going to stop by and join us. But a quick reminder that the broadcast is brought to you by Toyota Cougar Nation. Each time you bring your Toyota vehicle to be serviced at a local and participating Toyota dealership, you can receive a premium Washington State giveaway item as a member of the Toyota Rewards Program. Stay tuned for more information on how to become a Rewards Program member. More with Coach Dickert live here from Zappos. After this, you're tuned in to the Cougar Football Hour from Learfield.
Dear road rivals, let's talk about extra. Toyota offers tons of extra with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan good for 2 years or 25,000 miles. No-cost oil changes, no-cost tire rotations, no-cost fluid level adjustments, and more. That's a whole lot of extra at no cost from Toyota. Nissan and Ford charge extra for maintenance. And that's the kind of extra nobody needs. Try harder. Toyota.
Based on manufacturer's data as of 3/19/2024, covers normal factory scheduled service for 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever occurs first. See participating dealer for coverage details.
Do you ever pay attention to overhead power lines? If you're like most people, you don't, but you should, especially when you're working up on a roof or carrying a ladder outdoors. Kids who climb trees and fly kites and adults with drones need to watch out for power lines too. And on the off chance that you find a downed power line, stay at least 10 feet away and quickly call 911 and Avista. Always pay attention to power lines. It's your best line of defense. Avista, we just want you to be safe.
Are you interested in your company reaching Coug fans in and out of game day? As the multimedia rights holder for Washington State Athletics, Washington State Sports Properties helps companies and organizations connect themselves to Cougar Athletics in unique and exciting ways. Whether it's creating brand awareness, driving product sales, or entertaining employees or clients, Washington State Sports Properties has the resources to help your business achieve its marketing goals. Reach out to Washington State Sports Properties to learn more about what sponsoring the Cougs can look like for you.
This is the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
Whenever I see somebody purchasing something with their WSU card, I always like to give them a go Cougs. It brings me back to when I was in Pullman.
From the rolling hills of the Palouse to keys jingling before every kickoff, there's something special about being a Cougar. That's why BECU created the WSU credit and debit cards. It's just one more way to show pride for a place we all call home. Grab your WSU card today. BECU, power in people. Membership required. Restrictions apply. Call 800-233-2328 for details about credit costs and terms. Federally insured by NCUA. Member compensated for participation.
Hello, I'm Mike McVeigh from McVeigh Brothers Roofing, Siding, and Windows, and also an alumni from WSU, the best college in the state. Go Cougs! And for over 65 years, I believe our competitive edge has been selling the very best roofing, siding, and windows made at a great price with the best team of professionals installing it. And during our anniversary sale, we're offering 10% off your next project up to $3,000. So give us a call today at McVeigh Brothers. We're always working for you.
This is the Cougar Football Hour. Tonight's show is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is a proud supporter of Cougar athletics. Together, there's nothing as powerful as the power of us. Here's the voice of the Cougs, Chris King.
Well, on a warm, pleasant evening here at Zappos, we welcome you back into the Cougar Football Hour. Back here with Jake Dickert talking about the Portland State matchup, and now kind of starting to turn the page a little bit for the Texas Tech game. And this first question I have, and we'll kind of get into our full opponent preview in the next segment, but you look at Texas Tech, not only is it Coach Leach being honored as part of the Hall of Fame class this weekend, and the connections there, of course, great round of applause there between the two programs, but there's just a lot of ties, it seems like, even talking about how the two offensive coordinators are best friends.
Yeah, it was one of those things where this game, don't forget, came to us really late. And there was a lot of, work behind the scenes. They were supposed to play Oregon, and, they still wanted to play the Civil War, so there was a bunch of change. So we always knew we wanted to put Mike into the Hall of Fame. It was going to be this first kind of home, or the second home game of the year. And just ended up working out magically that it was Texas Tech. So it's just one of those things where it just works. I think both programs obviously greatly impacted by Mike and his reach, and a lot of similarities. So you talked about, Tech's offensive coordinator and obviously Coach Arbuckle. We all have that one guy in the coaching profession that we're just like, that's the guy that I emulate. Mine was Scotty Hazelton. He was a defensive coordinator at Kansas State and then Michigan State, and now he's with Texas. And for Ben, it's Zach Keatley. That guy where you really learned the game, you shaped your kind of own thoughts based on that, and it's a very familiar scheme. I mean, you can see it. Sometimes you're like, yeah, that's the same trick play Ben uses, right? Or that's the same goal line that Ben uses, and the languages are the same. So, us as coaches, Chris, we're very paranoid. Right, so change all the signals, call everything something different. Oh no, I watched the TV copy and they still use that. We're just going through a whole bunch of laundry list of things, and I'm sure it's happening both ways. Obviously, Coach McGuire, not their head coach, but their online coach, used to work here, so he likes this in this situation. He likes that, so do that. Sometimes you can just outthink the room. At the end of the day, it's going to be how much we can execute, rely on our technique, and in a perceived big moment, make sure we're responding to every situation that comes up. But more familiar for our defense is what we see every week. So I think they can apply kind of their base rules and techniques and go out there and play really fast.
That's interesting to hear. And we touch on Coach Leach. We should say there are 5 great Cougs going into the Hall of Fame. As far as football goes, Coach Leach and Dwayne Patterson, pretty neat for them to get honored.
Yeah, the sack master.
The sack master.
If I'm reading that correctly.
Brent Musburger gave him that nickname.
Yeah, part of the Palouse posse, and anytime you're part of the posse, to go into the Hall of Fame is probably well-deserved. I think I was looking at the stats today, and it was like over 30 sacks in a career. I was ready to put him back in some pads and sneak him out there on Saturday just to get a couple extra ones. So it's just fun. Anytime you can honor the past of our programs, I think kind of one of the things that I wanted to do, and, ever since I took over, Chris, was just kind of reunite our team with the football alumni. Because one thing Coach Leach wasn't the greatest at was that. He didn't love distractions. He didn't want former players on the sideline. That's just Coach, right? Just the old school toughness. But to open those guys up to the history, they had an alumni golf outing during fall camp. Marcus Trufant came back, spoke to the guys. Those are the avenues and the doors that we really want to open, and you do that by honoring the history, right? So to put those 2 members of our football family into the Washington State Athletics Hall of Fame is a big weekend, and really excited about that.
What a great stretch. That's tomorrow night. That's when the ceremony takes place, and just a great weekend for Cougs. That on Friday night, and then, of course, the game coming up on Saturday against Texas Tech. Speaking of alumni, we'll get to a listener question here. Do you ever have a chance to see the work of Dallas Hobbs as he's posting on Cougs Social? It's really remarkable how skilled he is at this. And someone, how much would someone have to pledge to the CAF to see this week's Pirate poster signed by you and him? Was the rest of the question. But it is what he did this week is, and every week that he does that is really off the charts.
The best part, this is a full-out grocery list right here. There's no doubt. Everyone's seen this paper off of the refrigerator. But one of the biggest things since taking over too was just getting a lot of our football alumni guys back in jobs and in different roles. And Dallas is an extreme talent. He's now working kind of for the UFC, but still does a bunch of Coug postering on the side. And one thing he's passionate about is kind of those game preview posters. And then he loves kind of the post-game. There's now this new thing, Chris, after you win a game, you post this big, graphic, and it's kind of edgy a little bit, kind of poking at your opponent a little bit. He loves doing those things. But Jihad Woods, former tackle, linebacker, is here working for us. George Hicks, Armani Marsh was going to come student assistant for us, but now he got a UFL contract. So to get those guys that have familiarity with your program and what it means to be a Coug, and to help them find their passion through coaching or graphics, or Jihad started in the scouting role. Those are things that I want around this. But I love this idea. I think we can do that, and I'll work through the collective to make sure this gets out there.
That's fantastic. That is really cool to see. And from some of our questions on Twitter, a lot of Mike Leach-based questions. One about trick plays, another thing about your favorite memories of him. Anything? I know you've talked about Coach Leach before, but this is kind of a special opportunity here here with him coming into the Hall of Fame. Any of those favorite stories of just what you've known about Coach Leach and your experience here at WSU and walking the same path that he walked?
Well, I know this. He'd be really disappointed that we covered up the Leach Beach. He'd be really disappointed to come here today and be like, Coach Dickert, well, how do you punish these guys? You can't roll them in sand for 40 yards, all right? But, there's just so many things when you talk to former players of, you hear kind of the toughness aspects of it, Chris, but there's just tons of love and care, and you can tell the guys that really understood who Coach was, all the way back from working with Eric Morris to Clay McGuire to Joe Filani to a bunch of different guys that played for him in that role too. They just speak, in great light of what Coach meant to them. And although, he would walk and still call these guys at 3 a.m. here in the Palouse, just did a bunch of different things like that. So I just think he's got a big heart. We're honored to have Sharon, his wife, here with us on the Palouse for him to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. That's a big deal. So I'm just, like I said, I said it this week, we need a statue of Mike Price outside our stadium. Okay, I really mean that, right? Coach Price has done so many things here, and Coach Leach should be right there. I mean, he made Cougs believe again. He showed them that we can do it our own way. We can be ultra successful. And, I think that means a lot to us, and we've had the ability to carry that on for a long time, and those are things that we want to continue here at Washington State.
Well said. And just getting to some of the more listener questions. Mark from Riverside, California. You come from Riverside. We get to some of the questions here. Kind of quick hitters. A lot of it has to do with travel, the plane ride, same routine regardless of the outcome when you're hopping on a plane, and hopefully the next time you're on a plane after a game, it's a couple weeks from now with a big smile on your face.
That's right.
But or at least 9 days, whatever it might be. But talking about that, what's the routine after a game on the plane?
Oh, I'm the guy that can finally, once the game's over, you can finally relax just a little bit, and then you just want all the information, and then you kind of get into Groundhog's Day where it's just rinse and repeat. The best part about the plane ride home after a big win is, get some ice cream bars out. If you don't win, you don't get the ice cream bars. That's a big deal, right, for the guys. So you just to enjoy it. There's nothing like a plane ride home. Every time we land after a victory, we start singing the school song. So there's just a bunch of those little memories. And this about playing this game, Chris. Sometimes the memories of the games fade away, or we embellish them a little bit as we get older, but you'll never forget the plane rides, the locker rooms, the little things that you do here and there with your teammates, and some of those things are just part of that.
That's great. And one more from Mark here. When the on-field communication is shut down from upstairs, kind of a question along those lines. Who's operating that switch? How much communication between the OC and the quarterback and the DC and the player on the defensive side do you listen to?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of talk nationwide about the new technology, right? So obviously the iPads, if you guys could see our coaches on the sideline, I mean, they get to see the play immediately after.
Jess was telling us about that on the sideline on the radio broadcast.
I mean, we can
Saturday.
watch the previous kickoff with the kickoff team. There's no more guessing, right? So that's a big advantage. And then the communication with the quarterback, I think, has been great for our game, but it shuts off at 15 seconds. And they just have someone up in the replay booth that just hits a little buzzer. You hear a little beep in your ear, and the communication is shut off. So we've worked all those mechanisms, but obviously anytime you get the sign stealing and everyone, it's another thing coaches are super panicky about. They have our signals, right? Oh my, well, they still got to stop you, right? So it's one of those things where we've navigated it really well, and the technology piece is here to stay and has been a positive for our offense, because I do believe we can go even faster.
That's great to hear. And we'll take another break here coming up. But when we return, of course, we got the Texas Tech game coming up on Saturday. We will talk about the Red Raiders. Still to come as well. Devin Killaney going to stop by and join us. That's all after this. We'll return after this break. Live here at Zeppo's on the Cougar Football Hour. You are listening to the Cougar Football Hour from Learfield.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024, U.S. Bank.
Hey, Coug fans! Can't decide what to do with your late-night weekends? Why not Cosmic Bowling? Every Friday and Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. is Cosmic Bowling at Zeppo's. At a price designed with everyone in mind, we are your destination for music, disco lights, and of course, bowling. Can't join us on the weekends? Zeppo's is the place to be for all ages every day of the week. With bowling, food, and drink specials, we offer prices that won't break the budget. You can even reserve your lane in advance with online reservations at Zeppos.com. When looking for fun in Pullman, look no further than Zeppo's.
Nothing works up an appetite like cheering for your Cougs on game day. So why not cheer them on at Northern Quest with an impressive roster of restaurants and lounges? You can tackle the menu at Epic and catch every play on the 10 by 30-foot screen. Or grab a steak at Maslow's, a fine cigar at Legends of Fire, even a burger from Fat Burger. You know, for your inner linebacker. See more at northernquest.com. Go Cougs!
This is the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
Which schools will take home the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup as the top college athletic programs for the 2024-25 college athletics season? You can follow the standings of your favorite team or alma mater at L Directors Cup on Twitter and online at thedirectorscup.com. Trophies will be awarded in June 2025 to the winning institutions in all college sports divisions. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
Aw, shucks, the game's on TV, but I can't listen to the call of my favorite team broadcasters.
Never fear, Sync My Game is here.
Sync My Game?
Yes, Sync My Game. If you have a DVR and streaming device, head to syncmygame.com from Learfield. It's never been easier to hear the impassioned voices of your favorite radio crew synced with the TV.
Wow, thank you, Mr.
Just remember, syncmygame.com.
Welcome back to the show. Time now to look ahead at this week's game with the Coors Light Opponent Preview. Coors Light, choose chill. Proud partner of Cougar Athletics. Celebrate responsibly.
Well, coming up Saturday night, 7 o'clock kickoff at Giesa Field. Looking forward, of course, to every game. But this is going to be a fun one. Texas Tech making their way to the Palouse as we welcome you back to the Cougar Football Hour, joined here by Jake Dickert. We are live because of this great weather on the patio outside of Zeppo's. Texas Tech, it's the first meeting between the two programs since 1964, the first time the Red Raiders have made the trip to the Palouse.
It's Palouse after dark, Chris.
Yeah.
Look out now. 7 p.m., it's going to be a little rowdy on that field. I mean, it's going to be hot during the day, but once that sun goes down, it's going to be perfect weather for football. So excited to welcome the Palouse. I'm glad they have to come up here and kind of wait out, sit around all day a little bit, play at 9 o'clock their time, right, because they're in Central Time Zone. So a little West Coast football, it's going to be great.
So they get to town and they'll get to experience the Palouse all day Saturday and then have the game coming up on Saturday night. Okay, with the Red Raiders, what has jumped out most about Texas Tech as you have dove into the prep for this game?
Well, it doesn't just take too long to figure out that, you say Texas Tech football, there's one thing you're thinking about, big, explosive, passing the ball, wide receivers running, good quarterback play. And I think when you turn the film on, Chris, you see all of that and more. I think you see an improved football team. Number 2, the quarterback, since he kind of took over midway through last season, the trajectory of their offense has just really, really changed. And I think they've done a good job upgrading their front. They have a bunch of transfers, right? So they have 4 new, players there. And then obviously the receiving core, I think, is as good as we'll face this season. They have an outside player in Eakin that is a big, strong, kind of down the field back shoulder catcher. Obviously we're familiar with Josh in the slot, and then, they surround that all with a great running game and one of the best running backs probably to ever come through Texas Tech football. So, it's a real challenge, but I think our guys are up for it. And like I said, we're familiar. But you still have to start this game plan out by saying, hey, we have to stop the run. And I think that's being physical at the point of attack. It's picking and choosing when we're aggressively going to blitz them and selling out the coverage. And our guys have to make plays down the field on the football. I mean, that's what you do, and that's how you create success. But there will be opportunities in this football game for us to take the ball away, right? Because, when you throw it deep, you trust your receivers to go make plays. He does that. They will make some. All right, that's the other thing that our guys need to understand going into this game. They have scholarships too. They have $5 million in their team. That's a little different, right? But, it's one of those things that, they get paid too. They'll make some plays. Like, we just got to keep responding. And, I do believe this game will come down to kind of that red area. If we can stop them and hold them to field goals while we can finish in the red zone, I think it'll be a productive day for the Cougs.
Taj Brooks, that running back you mentioned, has over 3,200 career rushing yards. He's looking to become the 9th player in Big 12 history with over 4,000 career rushing yards. So just to give folks an idea, I mean, that lists Cedric Benson, Ricky Williams, Darren Sproles, Adrian Peterson. So he has had one heck of a career. And I know their Week 1 game, and this gets to one of the questions Joyce, who's in the crowd here, kind of asking about their Week 1 game. Closer than they would have liked. It was a 52-51 win over Abilene Christian in overtime, but Brooks went for over 150 yards, and they got it done.
And I'll give you a little insight, too, about Brooks. He's very unique as he'll get to the line of scrimmage and just kind of like it's almost like he's not running a little bit, but he's just picking and choosing his lane, and then all of a sudden, boom. Right, you got to be really good with holding your leverage for a while because when he goes, he goes. But really patient runner that runs behind his pads and lets kind of everything happen in front of him before he hits it. So everything really goes from there as far as just how their offense is really, really generated.
And then another connection, I know Trey Shackelford talked this week about how he's good friends with Dre McCray, a great weapon for them. He's the reigning Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week, had 2 kickoff returns of over 60 yards. How much of a factor are you hoping that is not in this game, but opposing teams have to take that into account of just how dangerous he is?
Yeah, I think he was one of the best returners in the country last season and then followed it up in Game 1 with hitting 2 mega returns. So I think that sets up their offense. It's one of the many weapons that they kind of have. But we have a weapon of our own. It's Ryan Harris. He kicked 7 of 11, not into the end zone, out of the stadium, right? He was past the white line.
And kind of to the band, right?
Yes, and the one they brought out was 9 deep, which is always dangerous. This guy will do very similar things. He's fast enough to hit the field return. So I think the kickoff play is a play into the soul of your football team. It just is. How hard you're going, what's the demeanor of those guys. You get a bunch of guys and linebackers and safeties that, this is your role on the football team. So I think you're going to see that heart and soul of the Cougs running down there, and it's an important play, one that they have used to their advantage, but we can use that to our advantage if we attack it the right way.
And for folks here joining us at Zappos, tuning in, their defense. What should fans know kind of heading to Giesa Field on Saturday about what Texas Tech's going to try to do defensively? And, of course, the Cougs hoping all those weapons are disposed and on display again just like they were on Saturday.
Well, I think you mentioned it, Chris. ACU, you can perceive them however you want. They were poised. They were collected. They had a great game plan, and they just kept executing it for 60 minutes. And, I think they got them off balance in a couple different formations and sets. I would imagine just like us, they saw a bunch of correctable mistakes of getting your eyes right or better communication things. But, this game will be won at the point of attack. Our offensive line has to take that next step forward, has to keep John upright, keep him clean, and then physically move him off the ball. I think all those things that I mentioned were beyond capable of doing, right? But you'll win this game at the line of scrimmage. There'll be a bunch of flashy stuff outside, and I expect our guys to be able to get open and make some plays with the ball in their hands. But if we can dominate the line of scrimmage and keep John upright and give him some time, I think there'll be a lot of positive opportunities for our offense to go out there and make some plays that we're capable of doing. And all you need to do is your job. That's the best part when you're playmakers. Just be who you are. Don't go out there and press, and we'll get you the ball in space, and let's have some fun.
Well, that's a perfect way to set up our next guest. Devin Killaney going to join us. Excited to talk to him. He gave him a great intro earlier, talking about how he is just kind of the definition of an offensive lineman.
I believe I said the sweatiest person I've ever met. Yeah, he's just a big old lineman that he just embodies it. Absolutely.
There we go. Well, this is the perfect night for him. Well, Saturday will be good, too. Saturday, the Texas Tech can prep for that. Coach, we'll let you loose for now. We'll have you back on a little bit later. But thanks as always, and I look forward to chatting with Devin.
Absolutely.
Again, that is Jake Dickert here at Zappos on the Cougar Football Hour. Devin Killaney going to join us next. He's got a big smile on his face as he takes a sip of water, going to make his way up to the stage. A quick reminder that our broadcast tonight is sponsored by Northern Quest. Earn your bragging rights at Northern Quest with more slot machines, table games, restaurants, lounges, and luxury hotel rooms than anywhere else in the region. Northern Quest, yes, the best. More at northernquest.com. And we have more coming up here from Zappos. Right after this, you're listening to the Cougar Football Hour from Learfield. Learfield.
Spokane International Airport is a proud sponsor of Washington State University Athletics. The airport connects Cougar fans and alums with over 60 daily departures to more than 20 nonstop destinations provided by 7 major airlines, as well as one-stop connections to most major metropolitan centers throughout the U.S. Real-time arrival and flight departure information is available at SpokaneAirports.net. Spokane International Airport, when it's time to fly.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
With the WSU debit card from Giza, it's hard to tell who's supporting who. When Coug fans use their WSU card, they show off their Coug pride and donations are made back to Cougar Athletics. But the card supports the Coug fan with big savings by helping them grow their money with Smart Plus checking. So, does the card support the Coug fan or does the Coug fan support the card? It doesn't matter. All that matters is that the WSU card supports Cougar Athletics and your wallet at the same time. Get your WSU card at Giza.com. Checking account transaction requirements, terms and conditions apply. Insured by NCUA.
This is former Coug, Eric Coleman.
Picked off, intercepted, touchdown coming into the end zone, Eric Coleman.
And you're listening to Cougar Football. Go Cougs.
This Washington State University sports broadcast is brought to you in part by Pullman Regional Hospital, the official hospital of Washington State Athletics. The combined expertise of our university and our award-winning hospital are being deployed to provide greater access to resources, education, employment opportunities, and innovations to improve health care and health outcomes for all of us. Learn more at pullmanregional.org. Pullman Regional Hospital and Washington State, partners in excellence.
Hey, Cougar fans, the 2024 football season is here, and SeatGeek is here to help you experience all the action. SeatGeek makes it easy to find tickets so you can be a part of all the touchdown celebrations this season. Whether you're buying or selling tickets to Washington State football games or to any other live event in your area, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of the Washington State Cougars. The most disruptive idea in ticketing? A ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek.
This is the Cougar Football Hour. Tonight's show is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is a proud supporter of Cougar Athletics. Together, there's nothing as powerful as the power of us. Here's the voice of the Cougs, Chris King.
Welcome back here to Zappos, a gorgeous night on the Palouse on the Cougar Football Hour. Getting caught up with Coach Dickert earlier. We'll have him back a little bit later on talking about the Portland State victory, Saturday night's game against Texas Tech. And we're joined now by Devin Killaney, redshirt junior, 5th year as part of the program and the center for the Cougs. Devin, it's great to see you. How are you doing tonight?
Great to be here. I'm doing great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about what happened on Saturday. So it was not only the opener, and the Cougs score 70 points, tied for the 6th most in program history, but for you, you've been in the program. You've been a part of the program for 5 years. This was your first start. What was it like to have that first start and to have that experience after putting your blood, sweat, and tears in the program for so many years?
Of course. 5 years of being in the program, probably 14 years, 22 years of being a fan. So it was a lot of work really coming and being a real thing. Yeah, Coug, my aunt and uncle, they raised me right. Really getting out there for the first time and running out there, right after kickoff and leading the team out there. Of course, it was nervous a little, but 70's first start and 70 points. So
that is, hey, I like that. That is that could not have lined up any better. You got a big round of applause here from the crowd at Zappos when you talked about your aunt and uncle and you talked about your Coug family. So it is like you were in a onesie, you were in diapers, and you were in Coug gear like that?
Well, my mom, she's a University of San Diego Pedro, I think, but we would go on a Salmon River trip, and we would always find a way on our way to Riggins, Idaho, to stop by Pullman, sneak into Martin, and that's a core memory of mine. So.
That's fantastic. So your aunt and uncle are Cougs.
Yes, sir.
More in the family, or are they just your aunt and uncle? They had a great influence on you.
They had a great influence on me.
Okay, so for you, you're from the state of Washington, and you went to Lake Stevens High School. So for you, when the recruiting process started, was it always that there was kind of crimson and gray in your heart?
There was crimson and gray in my heart. I remember when I was driving for a wrestling tournament to Post Falls, Idaho, and I got a call from the running backs coach at the time, and I was leaning out the wrestling van because there's 10 kids in the wrestling van. And when I got that call, and Washington State was the first school that believed in me, I was like, yeah, this is it. I was like, Mom, I'm going to be a Coug. And she's like, well, you haven't looked at Ivy yet. And I was like, well, no, Mom, I'm going to be a Coug.
Well, this is even better than that.
Yes,
you get
sir.
a great education. You get to be a Coug. And I know you take a lot of pride in that logo on your chest there. Well, being from Lake Stevens, we were talking about this a little bit during the break. I know you wrestled at Lake Stevens. It's a really good wrestling program. And Chris Pratt, the actor, was a wrestler at Lake Stevens. I had to ask you, did you ever met him? But you didn't quite meet him, but you sort of was involved in things?
I didn't meet him, but he's around everywhere. The murals in our weight room, Chris Pratt is also an artist. He painted all the murals. And, his name's up in the wrestling room, and the impact he left when he was a Viking, it's still there. So
that's pretty cool. I'm sure he would be proud to know that you're carrying on the kind of the wrestling athletic tradition here at WSU. And for the offensive line, this unit, there's a lot of consistency. There's a lot of continuity. How much does that help with having so many returners this year? Because is there a position that relies on that more? Is it how much it takes for you guys in the trenches to have that, to be in sync? What's it like having, guys shouldered left to your right that you've been around with?
Yeah, offensive line is the only position in all of major sports with our back to the ball. So it's us five out there. We're brothers. We got to play like a fist. And trusting and believing that the guy next to me is going to protect me makes it easier to do my job. So it makes it a lot easier being out there with people that I really love and can trust.
And Devin, I know you were interviewed, I think, during fall camp, and I think you got some clicks, you got some views. You described toughness, your way of describing toughness for an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I think the key catchphrase that we're looking for is mean as a mother flipper.
There you go. You got to get that trademark. So
we're working on it.
That's the key. Is that what you're telling the freshmen? You're telling the young guys coming in?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be willing to take the guy you're going against into the deep end of the pool and tell he's wanting to get out,
So Coach Dickert, and I see him over here, he can wince if I'm describing this wrong, but said if you looked up in the dictionary an offensive lineman, you would see your face. What does that mean to you? Is that like a real big badge of pride, knowing that your head coach would describe you that way? That's a big compliment.
He did a wonderful job of describing it, rugged, ugly, some of the words he used. But, I mean, the message behind it is like, you're nitty and gritty in there. I'm not throwing touchdowns, and I don't got the John Mateer six-pack, but, I mean, I'm working, and I'm showing up to practice every day shirtless and sweating all over the ball, sweating all over the linebackers. It was actually at practice today. At practice yesterday, Coach Dickert, he was standing right behind me, and I reached behind. I felt him because the ref stands behind me whenever we're subbing, and I was like, you know what? A little bit of sweat. Threw it on his leg right behind me. So, yeah, he knows that I'm sweating. I'm in the trenches, so it's okay to be a little dirty and ugly.
For those coaches getting a bite over here, but was in between bites when he mouthed, that's true. So that's true. And he was talking about your knuckles. Once you came up here, I'm checking out your knuckles. So is that, as an offensive lineman, as a center, what are we looking at here? What are your war wounds from being in the trenches?
So I snap with this hand, so I can't cover it in tape. And this one I do cover in tape, but I don't wear – they have specific gloves for the offensive line, but the gloves are like really thick and padded, and it makes it tough to, slip your fingers behind the pads and grab for dear life. So that's, that's part of the job. I punch in there and I slip my fingers, which is very minimal part of my hand, and I just grab, and linebackers are batting and swimming, and, sometimes you get bumps and bruises, but swelling usually goes down.
Well, there you go. Those look like true offensive line hands. Devin, we're having so much fun. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more with you. We're here at Zeppo's live on the Cougar Football Hour. More to come. We're talking with Devin Killaney. We're chatting about Saturday night game at Giesa Field against Texas Tech. We'll return after this break. This is the Cougar Football Hour from Learfield.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024 U.S. Bank.
Hey, Coug fans! Can't decide what to do with your late night weekends? Why not Cosmic Bowling? Every Friday and Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. is Cosmic Bowling at Zeppo's. At a price designed with everyone in mind, we are your destination for music, disco lights, and of course, bowling. Can't join us on the weekends? Zeppo's is the place to be for all ages every day of the week. With bowling, food, and drink specials, we offer prices that won't break the budget. You can even reserve your lane in advance with online reservations at Zeppos.com. When looking for fun in Pullman, look no further than Zeppo's.
Nothing works up an appetite like cheering for your Cougs on game day. So why not cheer them on at Northern Quest with an impressive roster of restaurants and lounges? You can tackle the menu at Epic and catch every play on the 10 by 30-foot screen. Or grab a steak at Maslow's, a fine cigar at Legends of Fire, even a burger from Fat Burger. You know, for your inner linebacker. See more at northernquest.com. Go Cougs!
This is the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
Get game day ready at Rosars. Rosars is a proud sponsor of WSU Athletics and your headquarters for keeping snacks stocked up for game time. You'll find the largest craft beer selection, local and imported wines, and all the makings for your favorite cocktails. And while you're there, stock up on your favorite deli snacks, pizza, rotisserie chickens, and ribs. Don't just watch the game, experience it with your favorite game time foods. Get game day ready at Rosars.
Get your home turf ready to play with the game-changing performance of Steel. Enjoy big savings this fall on Steel handheld outdoor power equipment. Find yours at over 10,000 local Steel dealers. Steel is a proud supporter of your Washington State Cougars. Real Steel. Find yours.
This is the Cougar Football Hour. Tonight's show is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is a proud supporter of Cougar athletics. Together, there's nothing as powerful as the power of us. Here's the voice of the Cougs, Chris King.
Welcome back here at Zappos on the Cougar Football Hour, joined by Devin Killaney in segment number 2. So much good stuff to go over with the redshirt junior starting center for the Cougs. We were talking during the break. I wanted to make sure to get into what you have done away from the field. Tell us about where you are on your kind of education track, degree-wise, and what you're working on now.
Yeah, so I just graduated with my human development degree in the summer, and
very, very well deserved. Yes.
Thank you. And currently, I'm focusing on executing the best on the field for you guys. And then next spring, I'll be approaching and trying to get my master's in teaching.
And so that's the plan?
That's the plan.
There we go. What age are we thinking?
I mean, I'm going to be an educator of all forms. But when I'm in the classroom, probably like geometry. I'm a big math guy. You know?
Okay.
Eighth grade, maybe.
And a little coaching sprinkled in?
Oh,
or just...
for sure. That's the plan.
Okay, there we go. Great. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And we were also discussing during the break, you had a very busy summer. Tell folks what you would do, what your summer was like, how packed it was.
So, of course, we have all our optional team work practices in the afternoon that we're making time for, but we would have the morning lifts, and then right after morning lifts, you're hopping in the shower, getting some food, and driving to Sunnyside Elementary School because that's where we have our YMCA summer camp where I was interning all summer, so it was a blast. And me and Falili, we got our time well spent with the youth of Pullman.
Oh, my gosh. I was a summer camp counselor. There's nothing like it. We were talking about the hours. The hours that I did were a lot shorter than you. And I remember thinking I never felt so tired than the first week of doing summer camp with kids. What? You're doing workouts plus summer camp. Did you just pass out at the end of the day?
Yeah, eventually you have to tell the kids, no, we're not playing flag football today. But it was a blast, and getting good sleep. Can't complain about that.
Did you get to build some relationships with the kids that they're coming out to Giesa Field now and cheering you on?
100%. And it's ages kindergarten to like 6th grade. So kids of all ages, and connecting with them and showing them that, yeah, I'm a really large individual, but Yeah, I'll play Connect 4 with you. I'll play chess with you. So, yeah, it was awesome.
I was just going to ask what they like the most, whether it's, I don't know if dodgeball's out. I don't know if I'd be on the opposite end of dodgeball from you. But, Guess Who? What are we doing? What's popular?
Yeah, they're big. Still, Guess Who is still in. They got different versions of that. You can play Animal Guess Who, which gets difficult. And I think the best thing we did was probably we had water days every Tuesday. I'd fill up me and Falili 200 water balloons. We get the hose out, and it was good.
That is awesome. Well, that's cool to hear. You had that impact and continue to have that impact in the community, and great to see what you're doing on the field. Devin, thanks for being here. Congrats on getting that first star week 1, and can't wait to see you and your teammates out there under the lights at Giza Field coming up Saturday night.
Yes, sir. Go Cougs.
Again, that is Devin Killaney, redshirt junior center for the Cougs, joining us here on the Cougar Football Hour. More to come after this. We'll be rejoined by Coach Jake Dickert. You're listening to the Cougar Football Hour from Learfield.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you're planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
When your day one proves they're a real one by showing up with McDonald's breakfast before you even get out of bed. The friends don't let friends skip breakfast deal.
Real friends also understand if you eat their hash browns before you even drive back. It's buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's with 5 options to mix and match. Sausage McMuffin, burrito, McGriddles, biscuit, or hash browns. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
You're listening to Cougar Football on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024, U.S. Bank.
Want to earn some extra money this winter? Spokane International Airport is hiring multiple seasonal snow removal equipment operators. These are on-call positions for the upcoming winter season from November 2024 to March 2025. You can earn up to $36 an hour. Some positions require a CDL, and previous experience in operating snow removal equipment is highly preferred. Join our team today. Learn more and apply by visiting SpokaneAirports.net.
This is the Cougar Football Hour. Tonight's show is brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is a proud supporter of Cougar athletics. Together, there's nothing as powerful as the power of us. Here's the voice of the Cougs, Chris King.
Tonight's broadcast brought to you in part by Toyota. The Junior Cougs Kids Club, presented by Toyota, is the official kids club of the Washington State Cougars and is the best way for the youngest members of Cougar Nation to show off their Cougar pride. Find out more information about your Junior Cougs membership perks at wsu.com/JRCougs. Back here with Coach Jake Dickert on the Cougar Football Hour, enjoying this great night here at Zeppo's. Coach, we just had a really fun interview with Devin Killaney.
How impressive is Devin Killaney, huh? Captain of our football team. Fifth-year guy, earned it every step of the way. It's really cool.
And my favorite part was learning about him and Falili serving as camp counselors at Sunnyside Elementary for the YMCA over the summer. Could you imagine what that would be like, having those two as your camp counselors?
Yeah, my two boys go to Sunnyside, and they would just turn those big guys into like a jungle gym. Like, you know what I mean? They just climb all over them a little bit. It was cool to listen to him that he wants to be a math guy, because I also got my math degree. I thought I was going to be a math teacher, and I don't know if he knows, but they've changed every way they teach math from the way I learned it. So there's no way I could do that now. Riley's math just keeps me guessing. And I got to give Dev a shout out, because we do like individual competitions during the year. And then whoever wins that on the team gets to play me one-on-one. He won the Madden competition. And I came in stoked. He beat me 62-0.
In the mound.
Man, I thought I was going to score. I was in the red zone 7 different times. This guy's audible and read 7, changing the play, and he took great pride in beating me that bad.
That's awfully impressive. Where did he have time to play Madden during the summer? We're just hearing about his packed schedule.
You'd be impressed. I mean, these guys with the new college football game, I think they're getting a little too much time, playing with themselves and creating dynasties with the Cougs. So their skills have way outmatched mine. I got to get back at it. My 2 boys now won the game, so but it's just fun. Dev's a great representation of our team and embody the Coug. And in today's football, to wait your turn. I tell a cool story about Dev. There was, a couple of years ago, he was like, "Coach, can I do it?" And I said, "I still believe, man." And this is that day, and now he's running out the tunnel as our starting center.
And to hear just how much he loves this school
awesome.
and how much he loves being a Coug. Well, with that, we'll take another timeout. More to come with Coach Jake Dickert after this. We're live at Zeppo's on the Cougar Football Hour from Lear Field.
Bro, you go hard for the WSU Cougs.
What do you mean?
You're literally wearing a Coug jersey that you bought from the Coug store with your Coug debit card. And you don't stop talking about how every time you use your card, Gisa donates to the Cougar Athletic Fund.
I guess I do go pretty hard for my Cougs.
If you go hard for your Cougs, get your WSU card today at Gisa.com. Go Cougs!
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End of friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
This Washington State University sports broadcast is brought to you in part by Pullman Regional Hospital, the official hospital of Washington State Athletics. The combined expertise of our university and our award-winning hospital are being deployed to provide greater access to resources, education, employment opportunities, and innovations to improve health care and health outcomes for all of us. Learn more at pullmanregional.org. Pullman Regional Hospital and Washington State, partners in excellence.
Nothing works up an appetite like cheering for your Cougs on game day. So why not cheer them on at Northern Quest with an impressive roster of restaurants and lounges? You can tackle the menu at Epic and catch every play on the 10 by 30-foot screen. Or grab a steak at Maslow's, a fine cigar at Legends of Fire, even a burger from Fat Burger. For your inner linebacker. See more at northernquest.com. Go Cougs!
This is Drew Bledsoe, and you're listening to Cougar Football.
Bledsoe calls his play, has the ball, throws a home run ball from the end zone to Bobo! Touchdown! Washington State!
On the Washington State Sports Network.
Aw, shucks, the game's on TV, but I can't listen to the call of my favorite team broadcasters.
Never fear, Sync My Game is here.
Sync My Game?
Yes, Sync My Game. If you have a DVR and streaming device, head to syncmygame.com from Learfield. It's never been easier to hear the impassioned voices of your favorite radio crew synced with the TV.
Wow, thank you, Mr.
Just remember, syncmygame.com.
Which schools will take home the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup as the top college athletic programs for the 2024-25 college athletics season? You can follow the standings of your favorite team or alma mater at L Directors Cup on Twitter and online at thedirectorscup.com. Trophies will be awarded in June 2025 to the winning institutions in all college sports divisions. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
Back at Zeppo's on the Cougar Football Hour. We are down to the wire here on the show. We're back with Coach Jake Dickert. We preview Texas Tech. Here we go. The stage is set. Saturday night, Gisa Field, under the lights. The Red Raiders make their first ever appearance here at the Palouse. Is your heart starting to race a little bit? Getting fired up just thinking about what it's going to be like Saturday night?
Yeah, once you get through Thursday morning practice and you get those corrections from that tape, it's just that build-up to game day. Cougs, it's going to be hot. Make sure you stay hydrated. Drink a bunch of Coors Lights. Make make sure we're ready to go. It needs to be a ruckus crowd. Giesa Field needs to be rolling. It's that time. Get an opportunity on a big stage. We're on TV and Fox. We're putting the Pirate into the Hall of Fame, Dwayne Patterson into the Hall of Fame. It's a Cougs weekend. Let's go, Cougs. Can't wait to see you guys out there.
Love it. For Coach Jake Dickert, for Devin Killaney, our guest, for Luke Hallett back in the studio, for both Jerry on the audio side, Jared on the video side, I'm Chris King signing off. We'll talk to you Saturday night from Giesa Field. Kickoff at 7. Coverage starts at 5. Thanks so much for joining us. Signing off here from Zeppos. You've been tuned in to the Cougar Football Hour from Learfield.
You've been listening to the Cougar Football Hour on the Washington State Sports Network from Learfield. Tonight's show has been brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is a proud supporter of Cougar athletics. Together, there's nothing as powerful as the power of us. U.S. Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Tonight's show is also brought to you by Zeppos, the home for the Cougar Coaches Show, where the Palouse comes to play and eat. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Washington State Sports Network.